Hello there. Welcome back to Zephyr's BI and Analytics, where we learn by building BI projects. So today on this channel, I'm going to be walking you through how I created this employee performance report with Power BI. I was actually going through the projects we've created in the past on the channel, and I noticed that we've actually not done any project that covers the HRO sector. So today, we're going to be creating this employee performance report. It's a 2-page report. This is actually the first page of the report, which has to do with the employee demographics, right? So we actually have 2 sets of employees, the active employees and inactive employees. So I'm just going to uncheck the filter. So we're currently looking at our total employees, the KPIs up here. Then we're looking at the employees and by the employment type, right? The full-time employees, part-time, seasonal, and contractors. We have the managers, the manager status, then we have the employees and their salary band, right? This is the first page of the report, looking at the demographics of all the employees across the age group, the departments, the educational level, right? Then you're looking at the employees, a particular KPI, which is the head count for the different year. You can look at the employees across the different states, right? And there's also a tooltip to guide you also. Then on the performance side of the reports, we're looking at the employee productivity, the performance rating, satisfaction score, the managerial evaluation, that's the manager evaluation, the average engagement index, right? We're also looking at it across the different age group, the departments, the educational level, right? So I'm going to be walking you through how I created this report with Power BI. So before we begin, remember, attached to the video description on the channel, you're going to find a link to a OneDrive where you'll be able to download the employee performance data set, the latest one. You'll be able to download the PowerPoint file for the background image. You'll also be able to download all the documents, the guide documents you need to create this report. So what are we waiting for? Let's open up Power BI and let's begin creating this amazing report. So once on my Power BI desktop, the dataset is actually an Excel dataset. By now, I expect that you must have downloaded the dataset, right? And it should be somewhere in your downloads or wherever you actually, the folder you decided to take it to. For mine, it's somewhere in my desktop. So I'm quickly just going to come to import data from Excel actually. And I'm going to navigate to where I have the data set. That's employee performance data set, the latest one. I'm just going to select and click on open. So yeah, once the navigator pane is open, I'm actually interested in just 2 tables, the employees table and the monthly performance table, right? I'm just going to tick those 2 tables. Then I'm going to click on transform data. Okay, great. So this opens up Power Query as usual. Please endeavor to go through the data set, ensure your data types, they are actually correct. Everything is intact, right? Just a few transformations we quickly need to do here. First thing first, the gender _1, we don't need this column. So I'm just going to say remove this column, right? And I'm going to name this table employees, right? Just employees. And I'm going to name this monthly performance. I'll simply just say dim employee performance, right? Just like that. Then few transformation we'll also need to do here for the age, right? Would create an age bucket, age group. Then quickly, one thing I want to draw your attention to, we have the hire date, then we have the exit date, right? So if you find the hire date and the exit date, simply means this employee is inactive, is no longer with the company. But if you find just the hire date and the exit date is actually null, it simply means this employee is still active with the company. So let's quickly, with this knowledge, let's create a status column. So I'll just come to add column, conditional column. I'll simply just call this column a status column. And I'll simply say if the exit date, right, is null, it simply means the employee is active, right? Active. Else the employee is inactive. Okay, I'll just hit my OK. So now I have a status column. I'll change this data type to text. I'll just bring it to the beginning. So if I place this side by side, the exit date, you'll see that for every time you see an exit date, the status is actually inactive, inactive, inactive. So that's great. Another transformation we also need to quickly do is for the age, right? The age, we need to create an age group. So I'll quickly navigate to the reports, right? This is the report we're trying to create. I'll come to transform data. I want this video to be as short as possible. So this is employee. We've already created the conditional column for the status, right? This is the conditional column for the status. So we need to create a custom column for the age group, right? So this is a custom column for the age group. I'm just going to stay here for a few seconds so you can actually see the M query. It's just a simple M query using the if and else if function just to create an age group. If the age is greater than 21 and less than 25, of course, 21 to 25 years, just like that. So I'm just going to copy this code quickly, click on cancel. I'll navigate back now to Power Query. So while we're here, right, we've created our first conditional column. Next, we'll come to add column again and say we want to add a custom column. This time around, we're using the M query. I'll just paste the code, right, and I'll call this column name age group, right? Then, of course, I'll click on OK. This will create an age group column. I can easily just change this to text, right? Again, we're going to create this same age group column, but it's not going to be an age sort because we want to be able to sort the age from youngest to oldest or oldest to youngest, right? So I'll come back to custom again and create another age group column. But this time around, instead of having 21 to 25, I'll simply just say 1. I'll simply say this is 2. I'll simply say this is 3. I'll simply say this is 4. I'll say this is 5. And I'll say this is 6. Right? Then I'll just say this is age sort column, right? And I'll click on OK. So this will allow me sort this age column either in ascending or descending order from youngest to oldest or oldest to youngest. Just change this to whole number. So I have the age sort column. Lastly, there's one more column we need to create, right? We actually have the department here. If you check the data very well, we have the departments here, right? So I decided to create a new department column because I actually combined some departments together. I joined some departments together as one, right? So we need to do that by saying we want to create a conditional column. And let me quickly see. So if we come back to this HRO, right? And I come to this last conditional formatting I add here, that's conditional column. So now what I did was the store operations, right? And logistics and warehousing, I called those two department operations, right? So store operations, I'll simply just say now. So here, what I'm saying is if the department name is equals to store operations, right? I just want you to call it operations. And I'm also adding a clause if the department name is equals to, what's the other one? That's logistics and warehousing. I also want to call that operations, right? Logistics and warehousing, I want to call that operations. So this simply means store and operations, store operations, logistics and warehousing will be one department called operations. So let's go again. The department is simply, what's the department now? So what I did was fish produce, right? That's not fish, fresh produce actually. Fresh produce and meat, fish and bakery, both are production. So fresh produce. So this is fresh produce. We call this production. Okay. The department is equals to, what's the other one? That's meat slash fish and bakery. These are all production. So this is production. Okay. So we'll add some more. The department again. equals, so let's get that department. Let's get that department here. So I'm simply saying HR and customer service, both should be HR and CXC. So the department is HR. I want to say is HR and CXC. So if the department is customer service, department is equals to customer service. I'm also saying is HR and what? HR and CX. Okay, let's see if there's one more department I created. Yeah, so finance and marketing, both departments together, right? Finance and marketing. So I'm simply saying here that if the department again, I'm adding another clause. The department is what? Finance. I want you to just say this is finance and marketing. And of course, if the department is marketing, I also want you to return finance and marketing. This is actually finance. Weird spelling. Okay. So finance and marketing. So once I have these departments meshed together as one, I can then come here and say select a column, then return the other departments. So with this, I've created a new departments column. So I created a new department column. I'll just click on OK. So this will create my new department column, right? So I have that there already. Now on the second page of the second table, not page now, second table, you actually have the employee performance, right? The performance, I think the performance is just for the last month, which is 12th of first, that's 12th, 2024, right? That's December 2024 actually. So every other thing here should be okay. I didn't do any transformation here. We have the employees here and the monthly performance here. So I'll just come to home, close, then I'll click on close and apply. Of course, this will then load our data to Power BI, right, where we can begin our analysis. Okay. So let's give it a little time. Okay, great. So we have our data in Power BI now. So few things we quickly need to do. One, I'll come to format this report page, Canvas setting. I'll change this to custom and quickly say 1080 and 1920, right? To give us more room, right? And next, I'll just come to enter data here and I want to create a table. I'll just call this my measures table, right? To hold all the measures we're going to write. Let's quickly come to the table view. So we have the employees table, right? Then we have the performance table. Let's navigate to model. See, Power BI automatically detected for us already, but it's just a one-on-one relationship because you have employees here, then you have same employees, their performance for the month of December. Okay, so what do we simply need to do next? We're quickly just going to create a calendar table, right? A calendar table. To do that, I'm just going to navigate back to the old report, right? Just close and I'll navigate to my table view so you can grab the calendar code, right? So this is a simple code. To create the calendar table, I'll just leave this right here and you can easily just, copy this or copy the code actually. So this is the code to create the calendar table. I actually have it before now. I think it's actually in one of the documents. So you'll find it in one of the documents actually. So you don't need to stress much. Just go to the document and copy the code to create the calendar. I'll copy the code and I'll quickly just navigate back to our report now. And why on table view, I'll say I want to create a new table and I'll just paste the code. Now, so on the old table, right, the table we're coming from is actually employee, but in our new one is actually employees. So that's why it's flagging this. So all I need to do is just refer to my table employees. I'll refer to my table employees here. So I'm using the hire date, right, to create the calendar table. I'm using the hire date and I'm using the exit date, right, to create the calendar table. So I'll simply just create the calendar table, right? So this automatically creates the calendar table for us. And I'll format this to date, right? I'll also format this to date. Okay, so I have both as dates. Then I'll come to my model and simply just connect this date to the higher date here. I'll connect this date to the higher date here and simply click on save. It's actually a one-to-many relationship, so we're fine. Okay. With this done, I'll just come back to report view, right? So this is going to be the first page of the report, which is the demographics. Okay, next I'll come to format report page, canvas background, I'll browse. Remember, you also have a PowerPoint file, right? On the link to the OneDrive, you find the PowerPoint for the background image. You need to just screenshot, or you want to make some modifications to the background, you can actually do it there before bringing it to Power BI. But I have the background image already. I have the image saved as the first background. I'll just click on open. I'll reduce the transparency to 0 and I'll change the feeds to stretch. So now I have the background for the report. So next, we'll begin creating the KPIs for the report, starting with what? The total employees, right? Okay, so for our KPIs, we're going to begin with the employees. So all we need to do is simply come to our measures table. Since we want all the measures we're going to be creating to be on this measures table, I'm just going to stay on the measures table as usual, and I'll right click and say I want to create a new measure. For our total employee is definitely going to be just a distinct count of the employees ID on the demographics. That's the employees table, right? So I'll just say total employees. This would equal to just a distinct count. I'm just going to say distinct count of employees. So we're simply going to count the employees ID from the employees table, a distinct count of that. So that will give us the total employees, right? So let's look at the table. Remember, our employees table, we're just doing a distinct count of this employee ID. Now, next, we also were looking at the active employees, right? Active employees. So for active employees, you know, now we have the total employees measure and we have a status to tell us if it's active or inactive, right? So for active employees, all we need to do is simply right click on our measures table again, say we want to create a new measure. This will be active employees. It will simply be calculate. So what we want to do now, we simply want to calculate, right? Shift, hold down shift, press enter, we bring it down here. We want to calculate our measures already, which is our total employee, right? Now we simply want to return, please, not calendar date, our total employees, but we want to return when the status, that's employee status, not managerial status, employee status is equal to active, right? Active. So this will only return employees that are active within the company, right? So I'll just check this out. Okay. Next, we want to look at our turnover rate, right? Since we have the active employees, we have the total employees, we can also calculate for the inactive employees and also calculate for our turnover rate. So for our turnover rate, we're also going to right click and say we want to create a new measure. This would be turnover rate. This is going to be in percent, but the first thing we need to do, we already have our total employees, right? So we say variable employees. This should just return our total employees, right? Next, we want to know our inactive employees. So this will be inactive. This will simply be calculate again our total employee. Then we also want to filter by employee status, but now when the status is what is inactive, and close this. Then what do we want to return? Finally, we simply want to return. We simply just say divide. Now we're just going to divide the inactive by the employees, and we're simply going to return the turnover rate, right? I'll just commit this. It's done now, and we have the turnover rate, right? Next, we'll be looking at that's the annual workforce cost, right? If you look at the employees table, you see the annual workforce cost. That's, if you look carefully, so we're definitely going to have that's the base salary annual, right? Base salary annual, that's the salary for each of the employees, right? Annual salary, base salary annual. So we're simply going to right click and say a new measure, annual workforce cost. So this is annual workforce cost, right? So this would just be a sum and base salary annual, that's base salary annual. Next, we're looking at the average salary, right? So average salary, we just create a new measure again. This is a new measure now, and just say average salary, right? Average salary. So this would simply just be an average of the salary. That's the base annual salary also. That will give us an average of the salary. That's the average of the base annual salary also. So that's the average salary. Then finally, we just want to look at the total number of stores, right? If you look at the employees table also, you'll find that these employees, they work for a particular store, right? They all work for a particular store. We have different stores actually, so about 150 stores also. So let's just put that here. So new measure, and we simply say stores. Stores will be a distinct count of the store ID, right? Distinct count of the store ID from the employees table. So a distinct count of the store ID from the employees table. So with that, we're through with the KPI cards we need up here, right? So let's quickly look at them. So I'll just take the new card. This is the new card, and I'll pick our total employees. So this is actually supposed to be employees. So I'll add S to this. Okay, so this is it. What I'll do, you find out that we have column 1 here. So I'll just come to the 3 dots there and say delete from model. I'm only deleting the column 1, so this will take the table up here. Okay, so now that we have this, we just need to do a quick formatting, right? First, I'll just come to format. I'll start with the callout value, right? Or basically, first thing first, I'll come to the cards. I'll put off the background, put off the border, right? I'll come to general effects. I'll just put off the background, so I have something like this. It's fine. Then I'll come to effects, not effects now, that's visual. First thing first, change the series, that's card, not card. Come to callout value, change the series to total employees. The size we're using is actually 25, and I'm using CJUI. Then okay, Next, the color. Okay, so I need to get the color code. I'm just more. I think the color code I'm actually using for the KPI cards. Let me quickly grab the color code for the KPI cards, right? Okay, so it's just a gray color kind of. So let's come back here. So next, the color code we're going to be using, I think we're going to be using this 10% darker. Let's see how it looks. It's too light. So we're using actually 20% darker. That's what we're using. Okay, that's fine. So come down to display units, say none, so you can get the entire number, right? Come down to label, increase the size to 14, change this to 20% darker, right? Now scroll down, position of the label should be below the value, right? Then reduce the space to 0. So you have something like this. Finally, just scroll up and say you want to center this, and you have the KPI card already for employees. That's the total employees. So we have for employees, we just need to replicate this for every other one. So I'm just going to do two more for the sake of time, so you can actually just know what to do already. So I'll just make a copy of this, and I'll bring in what are we looking at, active employees. I'll just drop it here, and I'll remove the total employees. It still doesn't really work. Next, I'll come to format. I'll come to colored value. Remember, I'll change the series to active employees. The size is actually 25. I'll change the style to CGUI. I'll scroll down, come here, change the color code to 20% darker. Display unit is also none. The label, I'll expand, increase to 14. Change the color also. Make the label to be below the value. Reduce the space to 0. And that's it. Scroll up a bit, centralize this, and there you have the KPI card for active employees, right? So you have the total employees, you have the active employees. So quickly, I'm going to select the total employees measure and add a comma. So you can have a comma here. I'm going to do the same for the active employees. I'm going to select the measure here. Then I'll add a comma up here. Okay, great. Next, we're looking at the turnover rate. I'm just going to make a copy of this, bring it here. So we can calculate the turnover rate. So I'm going to remove active employee, replace it with turnover rate, right? So this is turnover rate. Next, I'm going to come to format, colored value. I'll change this series to turnover rate, make this 25. Change the style again, CGUI, change the color, just centralize this, right? Then come to the label, increase the size to 14, change the color also, should be below the value, reduce the space to 0. Now I'm going to select the turnover rate and just format this to percent. Okay, so we have 19.88%. So let's look at what we have on the other end. So you see you actually have the same thing. So quickly, okay, maybe I'll just do for the remaining 3. So for this is going to be the annual workforce, right? Then, like I said, format, colored value, change this, annual workforce, size is 25. This is UI, then the color, centralize this, display units should be none. Okay, for display units in this annual workforce cost, I think I'll make it million, right? I'll make it million. Then the label, I would say should be 14. Change the color also, should be below. Then this should be spacing should be 0. I think we need to increase the size a bit. Okay, so you have something like this. You can actually just do the same thing for average salary and the stores. That's what you just need to do. Okay, so now that we have the KPI cards up here, right? The next thing we need to do is to look at the employees by their employment type. We have full-time employee, part-time, seasonal, and contractor. This is actually a combination of two visuals. We have a donut and a table. So let me walk you through this. First, I'll simply just bring the donut, right? Bring it up here, right? What is the donut looking at? We're just looking at the total employees, right? And we're looking at it by, so expand your employees table by the employment type, right? Employment type. So this is the type of employment. So this is the donut visual we have here already. So quickly, what I want to do is come to format, right? Come to legend. I'll put off the legend to begin. Come to data label. I'll put off the data label next, right? Okay. So next I'll come to general effects. I'll put off the background also. So you have something like this. So what do I want to do next also is to simply bring in a table, right? I'll bring in a table. The first thing I'll do, I'll say I want the employment type, right? And I also want the total employees also. So employment type by the total employees. I can actually sort this by the total employees. So you have full-time, part-time, seasonal, and contractor, right? Next, I'll come to format now. I'll simply come to totals. I'll put off the value. I don't need the total value. I'll come to style and preset. I'll change it from default to none. So I have something like this. I'll come to general effects. I'll put up the background also. So I have something like this, right? So let's just reduce this and bring this down here. That's the goal. Okay, so we need to clean this up so it looks exactly like what I have here, right? And I have the values in percent, and I have the simple the icon, right? That is displaying everything I want. So let's go ahead and format it. So first thing first, right? I'll simply select this table, right? I'll come to format. I'll simply come to values. I'll change the text color to this. I'll also change the alternate text color to this also, so you can see the values clearly. But what I'll do next is just to right click on the total employees measure here and say show values as percent of grand total. So I have the values in percentages, right? The value is now in percentage, right? So I can go back and sort it again, say by percent total. So I have 65%, right? The next thing I'll simply do, right, is to change this, just double click this, and I'll just rename this to, I'll just say P, right? That's the percent, just P, right? So I'm going to expand the table a bit. Also, I'm going to select the table. I think I need to increase the size also. Come to format, come to grid, I'll come to options, increase the size to 11. Okay, that's fine. So I have something like this. Okay, we're not done, we're almost done. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do, I'll say I simply want to create a new measure. I'll call this a new measure, and I'll simply call this measure icon. I'll do equal to, but what I'm going to do next is just to open a string. Next, I'm going to hold down my Windows key. Note, Windows key and full stop. Just hold down my Windows key and full stop. Then I get this emoji and more. So I'm going to search here. I'm going to search. Ideally, I have it here, but you can scroll down. When you scroll, you're going to find this circle, right? This is what I'm looking for. This is the emoji I'm looking for. I'll just select it, then I'll close. So this is it. Then I'll close the string and hit my enter button, right? So that's what I want. That's one of the things I want. Next, I'll select this, right? And I'll bring in the icon, but the icon is going to come first. So I'll drop the icon first. So now I have the icon behind here. Now I'm just going to reduce the size of this so everything fits in here properly. So you can look at it now. Now I have everything I want. So let's come back here and confirm. So you can see I have everything I want. So next, what I'm going to do next is to remove the what is it called, the borders, right? Just come here, grid, and say put off horizontal. Then next, come to border, just check and uncheck this to remove the border up there. Okay, so finally I need to grab this very color, right? This background color. We need to grab that color. So let me just come down to I need to grab the color, right? So I'll come to format, specific column, implement type. I'll just grab the color code. This is the color code we're actually looking for, 262F40. That's the color code I'm looking for. I'll grab that color code, right? So I navigate back to the report now. So what I want to do is select my table, right? Come to format, specific column. For the icon, I'll say this should only apply to the header. Note, only the header. Apply to only the header. Text color, I'll paste the color code I just copied, right? So you won't see the label anymore. Next, I'll change this to employment type. I'll put off the value, say apply to only the header also, and I'll use the same color code so you won't see the title anymore. And finally, I'll do that to the percent. I'll put it off, say apply to the header only, and use the same color code so you don't get to see the what is it called, the value there anymore. Okay, next, let's quickly format this. First, it's up to you now to come to format, slices, spacing. You can increase the spacing or decrease the spacing. You can make this 70. I think I used 70 before now, right? Then the title, also give it a better title. The visual needs a better title. That's employees by employment type. Okay, that's fine. So employees by employment type. So simply come to format, general, title. So this will just be employees by employment type. By employment type. I don't need the underscore, so I'll just remove it. So this should be, well, we're trying to be consistent with our font style, so I'll make this and change the text color also. So employees by employment type, right? So you have the what is it called, the donuts visual already. So now let's apply the colors, right? So come to format, slices. Now select the full time, change the color. So for the full time, I think I'm going to use 7A, right? 7A E1 F0. So this is the color code I'm going to be using for the full time. Next, I'll switch to part time and I'm going to use a different color code. So I'm going to be using AB EC F6. That's what I'm going to be using. That's ABEC F6. Then next we'll go to seasonal. I'm going to be using a different color code for seasonal. I'm going to be using F5C4 AF. That's what I'm going to be using. Then finally for contractor, I think I'm just going to use this 20% darker. So this is it, right? So what did I do next? So select, come to format once more, come to slices. Then you can actually put on, change this to all and put on the border, right? Put on the border. That's all you need to do. So you have a little break between each of the category, right? You can actually change the border color to any color you want. Let's say we use this. It's not so nice. I think I'm going to use let's say I use this background color, so you have something like this. So I'm using the background color we used initially. Look at it, the background color. So you have something like this, right? So finally, in order to ensure that you are able to detect that this is actually full-time and this is part-time, seasonal, and contractor, using this icon here. So we need to also do that. So first I'll select the table once more. Let's see if we increase the size of the text to grid to 12, if it's still going to be okay. So yeah, 12 is actually great. So we're using 12. So next, we need to then create a measure, right? A measure to actually apply this color code right here. So what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to navigate back here so you can actually see the measure I'm using. So I'll come down to tables icon. This is employees icon. So this is the measure we're using for the employees icon color, right? Let me just copy this. I'll explain this. So I'll navigate back to Power BI. We're actually in Power BI. So I'll navigate back here. So like I said, I'm going to right click here and say I want to create a new measure. And I'll simply paste the code I copied. Don't worry, the reason is actually flagging it is because I'm using employee. My table on the other side is actually employee. While we're here, it's actually employee. So I'll just change this to S, change this to S. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to color code everything that the color I used here. I'm trying to reference it to the icon I have here. So what I'm saying is if the selected value, which is the employee employment type, is contractor, give it this very color CCCCC. Remember, CCCCC is the color code we're using on the donut chart. So if it's full-time, we're using this color code. This color code we're using here is actually the color code for the full-time here. Then if it's part-time, we're using this color code. Replace it with this color code. Then finally, seasonal will be this color code. So I'll just check this. So once I check this, I'll select my table, right? And I'll come to format. I'll come to cell element. Now it's actually on icon. I'll select icon. What do I want to do? I actually want to give it a font color. So I'll turn on the font color. Now the rules, I'm going to change this from rules to feed value, and I'm going to replace the feed value now is the measure I just created, which is employees icon color. I'll select and click on OK. So this will change the icon color to what we want. So finally, you can actually just see the employment type, right? Referencing the color on the donut chart. So I think the last thing I did was just to bring in a text box and just see employment type. Then Control A, just increase the size to 12, change the color to this very color, and come to effects, put off the background. I'll just bring this here. So I'll just fix this here. That's how I created the what is it called, the donut chart, right? I'm just going to do this one more time so you can actually get a hands of it. First thing first, right? We've done it already. Let's quickly look at the next KPI we're looking at. We're looking at the managers by manager status, right? Managers by manager status. So we didn't create a measure for the managers. First, right click and just say new measure. So this is just going to be a distinct count of the manager ID. So we just say managers. This is equal to a distinct count of the manager ID on the employees table. Employees, we're looking at the manager ID. This is manager ID, distinct count of the manager ID. Just close this up. Okay, so I think one of the things I did also was just to bring in a card visual here. This is a simple card visual, or better still, just remove this, make a copy of this card visual up here, right? Come to format, colored value, change this to total employee, reduce the size to 14 or so, scroll down to the label, reduce the size to 8, right? Then I just reduce this and dropped it at the middle of the donut chart. That's one of the things I did. So now that we have the managers, right? So all I did was just to make a copy. Now if you've done this once, it's very easy now. Just select this, make a copy, bring it here. Now, instead of this, you'll be looking at the employees. We're not looking at employees anymore. Rather, we're looking at managers, right? Managers. We're not looking at employee type. Actually, we're looking at what? Manager status. So this is it. The this is no longer employees by employee type. Rather, we'll come to general title. We say managers by status. Right? The managers by their different status. Okay. So next, you know what we're going to do next is simple. Let's just give this the color we want. Format, slices. First, we say manager. What's the color we want to assign? So you have to be careful of the color you're assigning to the manager because you're going to use it later for the conditional formatting. So I think I'll just say 6994E7. So this is manager. Next, senior manager. The color I'm going to be using is B0E1FC. Okay. Then finally, I think I can just use executive. I can use any color code, right? I probably will just use this. Okay, so this would be for the executive, right? Executive, this would be for the executive. Or better still, I can just say B3, B3, B3. Okay, yeah, so that will be for the executive, B3, B3, B3. That'll be for the executive. So next, what I did down here, right? Let me do this again so you get a hang of it. First, I created a table. Just select a table. This is a table. Next, we're looking at what now? Managers, and we're looking at the manager status. So we have the managers and the manager status. This is it. Executive and the manager status, right? Now, right click on the managers and say show this value as percent of grand total. So you have it this way. I can now come to format and say sort by manager percent. So you have managers as 54%, senior managers 27%, and all. Next, come to format, come to totals, put off the total, we don't need that. Next, come to grid, expand, come to options, increase the size to 12, right? Next, preset default, change it to none. That's one. Go back to grid, put off the horizontal grid, come to the border, just check and uncheck the border. That's all you need to do. Okay, so reduce the size. Remember, we created a measure before now for icons, right? We created a measure before now for icons. So on this table, just go grab that measure icon, and the icon should come first. So I'll drop it first. So now you have the icon. So this is it. You have the icon, you have the manager status, then you have the, of course, the percent. So this is it. The next thing we then need to do is just come to format, general, effects, put off the background color, right? Come back to the visual, come back to values, change the text color to 20% dark, alternate text color 20% dark, so you have something like this, right? Now, what I'm simply going to do is come back here and say this manager status, this managers, I mean, not status now. I'll just say this should just be M, right? Just be M. That's the, just be M. So this should just be M, right? Then I'll bring it down here. I'll reduce the size. I'll expand this. So you have that space I wanted, right? So next now, I don't need this title up here. I don't need this title showing up here. So I just want to make the colors of this title, the background color we're actually using for this, just this box we have here. So I'm going to come to format now. I'm going to say specific column. First, we're looking at the icon column, which is this column, and I'm saying going to apply to only the header. Then of course the color is the color of the background we're actually using for this report. That's this color, so you don't get to see it. So please apply to header only. So now you can actually see the title there. I'll do the same thing for manager status, right? I'll change it to that color. No, sorry, apply to just header only. Do the same thing for the manager itself. Don't apply to values, apply to header only, and change the color so you have something like this. So when this is done, we just need this icon to also conform to what we have on the donut chart, right? So let me just go grab that code for you so you see it. So now I'm looking at my icons here, and I'm going to say manager icon color. Look at it, managers, that's the manager icon color. So I'm just going to grab it. So for the manager icon color, I'll just right click a new measure. Like I said, it's going to flag this because my table there is employee, while here is actually employee. So what we're simply saying is, it's just a switch function to say switch True. Of course, if the selected value now, if it's employee manager status, if the manager status is executive, give us this color. Remember, this was the color I used for executive on the donut chart. I'm saying if the manager status is manager, give us this color. Remember, this is the color code I use on the donut chart. Then of course, if it's not executive manager, that means it's senior manager. So use this color code. So whatever color you decide to use on this donut chart here, this donut visual, for each of these status, that's the color code you're going to use for your conditional formatting. That's the color code you're going to use for your conditional formatting. Whatever color code you use, that's the color code you're going to use for your conditional formatting. Then, of course, same principle apply here. Whatever color code you're using here, that's the color code you're going to use for your conditional formatting up there too. So for your that's for the employees icon, whatever color code you're using here, right, that's the color code you're going to use for your conditional formatting up here. Okay, so once that is done, it's just to select this table now, come to format, cell element, change this to icon. Of course, we want to apply the font color. Then this should be based on feed value. It should now be based on the measure. Which measure? That's the manager icon color. Click on OK. So the icon color automatically turns to what you have on the donut chart. So I think what I did next was just to drop a card visual to say managers here, right? Then of course you can also, this will simply be manager's status. So this will be manager status. So this will be manager status, right? Manager status. So that is it. So the next one actually, it's going to be the employee by salary band. So we have the salary for each of the employee, annual salary. If you come to the employees table, you have the annual salary here, right? This is the base annual salary. So one thing I did was to create a conditional column to just say if the employee earns a certain amount of money, it should be high, low, or medium and all that. So first thing you do is create that band, that salary band. So this is the code, just a simple switch code. If the employee salary is less than, this is 20,000 is low, 30,000 is medium, 50,000 is high, then any other one is very high. So I'm just going to copy this code, right? Because you need to do this before you be able to create this donut. So you come to your table, that's your employees table, and simply say you want to create a new column, and you simply paste this code. So now it's flagging this because it's actually employees. I'm using on the other end employees. So now you can easily see it. If the salary band is this, is low. If it's less than this or equal to this, is medium. Less than or equal to this is high. Then every other one is very high. So I'll just commit this, right? So I'll commit this. So now using this band, you can now create another donut chart here, right? Control C, Control V, and this will be employees by salary band, right? So this is no longer managers. This is no longer managers. Or better still, what we'll do is just remove this. Just say copy this now. Bring this here. Just remove employment type and replace it with the salary band you just created. So now you have employees by salary band. You do the same thing for the table, right? Control C, Control V. Just bring it here. Now all you need to do is remove the manager status. This is not what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy the other table. I'm going to copy this table instead. I'll copy this table. I'll bring it here, right? All I need to do first is remove the employment type, replace it with the salary band, right? Okay, replace it with the salary band. So I can actually sort this and say sort by salary band, right? Sort it the other way around. Sort by salary band, ascending also. So you have something like this. It's not sorted. Not sort by salary band, sorry. Sort by... Oh, we've not added that actually. This is P. Not supposed to be sorting by P, please. Let's confirm this. Yeah, so this is the salary band. What's P now? Total employees. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So sort by P actually. Sort by P, descending. Yeah, so you have something like this, sort by P descending, right? So now remember the salary band, you know what to do already. Select the table, come to format, cell element, not cell element, specific column. You are looking at the salary band, turn it off for value, say apply to header, change the text color to the background color, and that's out of there. So now what I need you to do, I'm not going to do this again. All you need to do is create a measure, right? Just call that, that will be, what is it called now? It's going to be band color, right? Salary band color, right? So salary band color, all you want to say is if the salary, right? If the salary band is equal to, so let me just walk you through that, right? Let me walk you through that. So just make a copy of this, for example, right click, say new measure, but you're going to fix the colors yourself, right? So I'm just going to paste this and say this is salary, that's salary, that's salary icon color. So what I'm going to say now is if the selected value, this is no longer manager status, this is salary band. So if the salary band now is what, I can start with saying if the salary band is high, give it this particular color, right? Just delete this now. Then you make another one, Control C, then paste this down here. If the salary band, you know the salary band we created already. If it's medium, you give it the color you want. You paste again. If it's what? If it's low, you give it the color you want. Else, you give it the other color, which you know is probably going to be for very high. That's for very high, right? For very high, you give it the color. So this is how the salary icon color is going to look like, right? You give it the color. So ideally now look for this, I'll get this blue color code, I'll put it here for high. I'll get this color code, I'll put it for medium. I'll get this color code, this is for low. Then I'll get this color code, right? This is for very high, so I'll put it here. So once I'm done swapping the color code, right, adding the color code to the measure, all you need to do is come to format. You know what to do, that's the table. Now come to table, come to specific column, not specific, cell elements, change to icon, click on the conditional formatting. This is no longer employees color, rather it should work with what now? It should work with your what is it called, salary icon color. Click on OK. So I don't know the colors I assigned. So when you assign these colors, right, this color code, so let's just do this quickly. So now that we've created the measure, let's come to format, slices, change this to high, then grab the color code. This is the color code for the high, right? I'll grab this color code. Okay, Control C. Then I'll come to the salary icon color. So I'll replace this with the color code I have here. So immediately I do this now and click on OK. Watch what's going to happen. The color code is going to change to blue. So that's what you need to do, right? So next, let's just go down here and create what is that going to be? So that's going to be, yes, so we need to create a parameter to hold the age group, the department, the educational level, and job level. Then finally, we need to then create just a simple visual, right? That's what we're going to do next. Parameter for the age group, department, educational level, and job level. Okay. So next, we then need to create a parameter for that, right? I'll simply come to modeling, then also we want to create a new parameter, fit parameter. Okay. Next we'll say on our employees what we want. We want the age group, right? What else? We want the department, that's 2. We want, what else? We want the educational level, and we also want what the job level. So these are the 4 parameters, right? Remember, add slicer to this page. So this is going to be our demographics, right? Demographics, right? And we'll click on create. Okay, we just click on create. So this is going to be our slicer. So next is just to bring in a column chart, right? Just bring in the column chart down here. Okay, this is our column chart. For our column chart now, what we want is to bring in this total employees. Sorry, our column chart. We'll bring in our total employees on the y-axis, right? But on the x-axis, we're now going to bring in our parameter, which is the demographics parameter on the x-axis. So now you're looking at the employees by the age group. Actually, we need to select a particular parameter here, so age group, right? So now also added to this, we now come to the legend, right? Employees, we come to the legend now, and we'll add the gender to the legend, right? So this is what we have, right? This is great. So when you switch this to department, you see job level, and job level, we have the educational level, department, job level. So one of the mistakes we've made now is coming back to demographics. We actually have a new department, so we're not going to be using this department here. So rather, I'll just come here and delete this and change it to the new department. I'll click on OK. So it's fine. We named the parameter department, but we're referencing the new department. So if I click on department now, it's going to be referencing the new department. Of course, educational level, you're going to see educational level, then of course job level, age group. Okay, so what we need to do is change this to the button slicer, and we actually have 4, so it's just going to be 1 row. Come back to layout and say it should be that's vertical, not vertical, horizontal actually, and say the maximum button should be 4 because we actually have 4. So we have 4. Just going to expand this all the way. Okay. So now when you select, it changes and all that. So we just need to format this quickly. So first thing first, I'll select this and come to format, general effects. I'll put off the background, right? I'll come to visual, x-axis, increase the size to 12. At least change this color to what we've been using, 20% dark, right? That's for the x-axis, right? Now for the x-axis also, remember to put off the title. Now for the y-axis, we don't need the values, we don't need the title, right? Okay. Next, for the legend, we can actually bring the legend to be bottom center. Okay. Next, now we come to the columns, and for female, we can actually use, so it's up to you to use any color of your choice in this case. But for female, I'm going to use this ABECF6. I'm going to use this for female. Then for male, I'm going to use this 7AE1F0 for I'm going to use this for male. Okay, so I have male and female. I think for male, we can actually go a bit darker to this color also. It's up to you. Use any color you like, right? I'm going to change this back to all. Then I'm going to come back to the layout and space between series. It's up to you. Then space between categories. I'll just increase this to 35, right? Okay. So you have something like this. Select. Remember for the legend also, text color, change this to 10%, 20% darker. Okay. Next, we then need to put on the data label, right? Come to data label, put it on. Come to the values. and increase the size to 12. Change the color also, so you have something like this. I think it's up to us to say the what is it called now? The display unit should be none, actually. So display unit should be none. So now you can switch from age group to department and educational level and all. So I think on the other end, I was actually showing this value in percent. So you can just right click and say show this value in percent of grand total. So you have something like this, right? So if you're going to show in percent of grand total, you can come back to the label value, and this decimal unit says 0. So you have something like this, or just add 1 to it. Okay. So department, you can see the percentage of employees, right? Educational level, percentage of employees. Now we need to format this also. We need to format this, right? So first we'll come to general effects, put up the background, right? What do we do next? Next, I'll come to visual. I'll come to the button down here. This is the button. Now we change the state to default. Then this rectangle, we're going to say rounded rectangle. Then we can actually decide how much round we want this to be. So this can be, should I say 12? Is 12 okay? I can tell. Formats, reduce the size a bit. Okay, so I'll come to general title. I'll put up the title also. Then reduce the size. So this fits right into the box we have there already, right? So only then need to format this now to look like one is selected now. Educational level is selected. You can easily tell that educational level is selected, but we need to make it a bit cleaner. So what did I actually do again? So come to the buttons again. Now is on default. We can come back to say the field should be okay. So this is where it's a bit tricky. What are we going to use for the field? So we can use this for the field actually. So I'm going to use the background color, but it's not so nice. So what I'm going to do, let me just go grab that color code, please. I'll navigate back here, right? And come to format buttons and change the state to be default and grab the fill color. So this is the fill color. This is the fill color for the default state, 202938. I'll come back here, select this button, come to format buttons, default state, fill color is actually this color code I'm about to paste. So great. Next, remember this is just the fill color, right? We also need to come up here, colored value, change the state to default and change the text color also, so you can actually see, right? So you can see each of the button now. Now we need to also then, when it's selected, right? When it's selected and when you hover on it, I think I'm okay, but when you hover on it, you see it clearly. So when it's selected, how do we tell which one of them is selected at a particular point in time? So now I can't tell, right? Now department is selected, age group is selected. So let's come to format buttons again. Change the default now to when it's selected, right? When it's selected, what is now going to be the fill color? So you can actually use a different fill color, right? That's one thing you can do. So let's say you use this fill color to show when it's selected. Next, you can come to colored value, change this to when it's selected and give it a better color also, right? So you can see, maybe you make this black, nope, or make it this. Okay, this is fine by me. Change this to CGUI also, and change this back to default. Change this to CGUI also, please. Okay, so I think this is fine by me though. So now you need to come back to when it's selected down here, the field and everything, right? So it's cool. So now you can easily tell that age group is selected, right? If you switch to department, you can easily tell that department is selected. If you switch to educational level, you can easily tell that educational level is selected, right? You can easily tell the one that is selected. So that's fine. Finally, we just need to work on the title we have here. The title we have here, we need to work on our title, right? So to do that, we actually create a measure. So I'll just navigate here and grab that measure, right? Title. So this is going to be the demographics title. So we're actually just using the switch function also. I use a lot of switch function, right? So that's demographics title. I'm going to grab this and just explain the code. Very simple code. Now we're going to right click and say we want to create a new measure and paste this measure. So this is referring to demographics parameter order, but we're actually calling ours demographics, so to be demographics order. That's demographics order. So basically what we're saying is switch selected value again, demographics order. Which order is he referring to? I can actually tell if it's from age group to department to educational level and job level, right? So let's confirm that order. So where are you going to find that order? If you come to table view, right, and select the demographics, you're going to find the order here. Look at the order. Demographics order. Age group is 0, department is 1, educational level is 2, and job level is 3. So let's confirm that order in the measure I just copied. That demographics title, age group is 1, right? Department is 2, educational level is, no, age group is 0, department is 1, educational level is 2, and job level is 3. So you can actually confirm that here also. Look at the order here. Age group is 0, department is 1, educational level is 2, and job level is 3. So that's the order we're using. So I'm simply saying that if the selected value, which is the demographic order, if the order is 0, let the title be employee distribution by age group and gender. If the order is 1, it should be department and gender. If the order is 2, educational level and gender. If it's 3, distribution by job level and gender. That's basically what I'm saying here. So what do I do next? I'll select this visual, come to format, general, title. Instead of having this title here, click on the conditional formatting, field value, replace it with the measure we just created as demographics title, and click on OK. We can then change this to UI, change the text color also, then centralize this. So now look at the title. It's saying employee distribution by age group and gender. When you then click on department, it will be employee distribution by department and gender. If you go to educational level, employee distribution by educational level and gender. So that's basically how this visual was created, right? Here you just have the male and female employee and their percent. So that's quite easy. I think you can do that already by simply just right clicking and saying new measure. I'll just say male. This would be calculate total employees, comma, when gender, employees gender is equal to, that's male. So this will give us for the male. I'll just copy this, Ctrl C, I'll right click and create a new measure. I'll paste this. I'll say this should be female. So this should be female. So when the employee is actually female. So this we're just using a card visual here. So if you bring a card visual and just select male, right? Let's format this colored value. It should be UI. It should be like 18, right? Then category, yeah, 10. Then general effects, put off mail, add a comma to this. Then back to the visual, change the color, right? So then also the category color. So this should be like mail. I think I need to reduce the size also, maybe 16. That's fine. So this is mail. I'll make a copy of this now, bring it down here. Just replace the male with female. Replace the male with female. So this should be female, right? So you have male, female, right? I think I also added the percent, right? So you can actually do that. You can do that. So I think I added the percent. That's male, the number, then female, the number and percent. It's quite easy to do that. You can leave it this way actually, or you can do that. But to do that, you can actually just right click and say new measure and just say male percent. I'll just do just for one. So this will be divide. You just say male because you created male by total employees. That's total employees. This will give you the male percent. So you can then bring in a card visual now and just say male percent. So convert this to percent, right? Convert this to percent, and decimal places should be 0. Let me save this, please. Okay, so you can, I'll just format this, format printer, and drop this here. But I also reduce the size, right? I'll come, put off the category label, and probably just leave it this way. So you can go ahead and do the same thing for the female, right? I think what I also did was select the card visual colored value and give it the color for the male and the color for the female. I think for female we're actually using this color. This is actually for female, so let's change the color. I think this is what we're using for male. Then for female we're actually using this color. So that's basically what I did. So you need to create the percent for female and put it down here. So that settles that. Then finally, not finally now, I needed to create another parameter, right? Because we have another visual in place. This is the visual here. We just selected year. So come to the calendar table, bring in the year on the x-axis. Then we needed to create a parameter to look at some measures we want to look at, right? We want to look at the total employees trend. We want to look at the active employee. We want to look at the turnover rate, right? And those are just the few KPIs we wanted to look at. So we then come to modeling again and say we want to create a new parameter, and this is going to be fit parameter also, but this is going to be KPI. Then what are the KPI we want to look at? We want to look at what? We want to look at the total employees on a yearly basis. We want to look at the active employees, right? Active employees. We also want to look at what? The turnover rate. Then we also want to look at, I think the other thing I added was the workforce cost. These are the KPIs we want to look at. I will click on create. So now for the KPIs, now that we've created the KPIs, now we have the filter here. So we can simply select this, right? Bring in the KPI now on the y-axis. So I'll drop the KPI on the y-axis. This is the KPI, I'll drop it on the y-axis. So now when you select a particular KPI, you get to see the trend for that KPI. So we can now format this very quickly. Come to format, general, effects, put off the background, right? On the visual x-axis, you put off the title, right? You can change this from continuous to categorical, so you have each year. Then change this, increase the size a bit. change the color also, right? Then come to your y-axis, put all the values, put all the title. Now you can sort this by year. So you sort it by year. You can sort it by year ascending. So you start from 2012 down to 2022, right? Increase the size a bit. Now for this slicer that is actually controlling this visual we have here, select the slicer. Now one very important thing, one very important. So select the slicer here, come to format, right? Come to slicer settings. Single select must be on and force selection, which means one must be selected at every point in time and you can't select two. So we'll do the same thing for this. This should not be a vertical list, rather I want it to be a drop down, and single select must be on. You must select one at a particular point in time, so this can just be up here. So what this means is if we change this to active employees, everything changes. If we change this to turnover rate, everything changes. If we change this to annual workforce cost, everything changes. So we can do two things, right? Rather than add a label, right, we can just come to the y-axis again and put on just the values, right? Then I can come to grid and put off the grid also. So this works perfectly fine. I'll just select this visual, come to columns, layout. I'll increase this to 25 at least. Then change the color to probably this color. This works for me. Then come to my y-axis, increase the size of the values, then change the color also, right? Now we also have title issue here. You can see we have title issue. Now I bet you know how to write that already, right? So you're just going to come to the KPI and say if the selected KPI parameter order is 0, you should be looking at employees trend. That's employees trend. So let me just go grab that code for you. I'll come back to the report here. So this is looking at KPI title, right? That's the KPI title. So this is yearly. Why is he asking for this? So KPI title. So this is yearly employee headcount, inactive employee trend, turnover rates, workforce costs, and all that. So I'm just going to copy this, right, and navigate to the report now. So there's something here. I'm looking at active employees, right? Active employees, but on the other end, it was actually inactive employees that was there. So I'll just walk you through two things you need to do to fix that. So I'll paste this here. Remember, this is no longer KPI parameter order, rather it is KPI order. That's what we called ours here. KPI order. So I'm just going to delete this. So I'm simply saying if the order is 0, that's the yearly employee head count. So if it's 0, yearly employee head count, inactive employee, but we're using active employee, so this is no longer inactive employee. So we'll just say this is active employee. That's active employees trend, right? Then we have the turnover rate and the workforce cost. So I'll just mark this okay. So once that is done, I can come back here now and say format, general, title, click on the conditional formatting and change this now, measures, and put the KPI title, click on OK. So now we can change this also to UI, centralize, and change the text color. So now when we change to see yearly active employee, when we leave the active employee and go to total employee, you see yearly employees headcount trend, right? That's what you're going to get. So let's just format this and drop it up here. I'll just come to visual, the header, I'll simply just say select KPI, right? This should be UI. I'll make it 10, right? Change the font color. Okay. Okay, then general effects, put up the background, right? So you have something like this up here. I'll just reduce this a bit. You have something like this, but this looks okay to me. But let's just change the text color here. So come to format values. This text color, let's make it probably this. Okay, so you can select a particular KPI, right? And you see the trend. So finally, for this page, we have the map visual. But for the map visual, if you go to your table right now, if you come to your table, that's your employees table, you actually find that we only have the longitude and latitude, but I'm actually using the shape map. But I have the store location, right? The store location. So what I did, I created the calculated column, right? So let's come back to let me just copy the code. So I created the calculated column for the state. This is the state and this is the measure. You don't need to worry about writing this measure, right? On the documents attached to the video description, you find this measure there and some of the measures there. So all you need to do is just copy this measure, right? I'll copy it, I'll navigate back to the report. But one thing I'll do, I'll come to this DAX query view first, right? I'll come to the DAX query view. I'll paste the measure I just copied, right? What I want to do, the reason I pasted this here, I'll just say Control F. I'll find what I want to find is employee, and I want to replace employee with employees because that's the name of my table, employees. Then I'll actually replace all. Okay, sorry, I'll do that again. Find, replace employees with employees. I'll replace all actually. So replace all. So I'll replace all. So once I'm done replacing all, right, I'll copy the code again. That's this. I'll just Control X, not copy. I'll just Control X. Go back to my table here. Then I'll say I want to create a new column. I'll just paste that. So I don't need to start changing this to SS. Remember, it's coming, it's employee, but on this report is employee. So I don't need to start changing this to SSSSS. No, that's why I took it there. Control F, just find everything, all employee, replace it with employees. So that's simple. With this, I've created the state column. I'll just check this. I've created the state column. Now I can then come to my shape map, bring in my shape map here, bring in my shape map, then I can select the total employees. Okay, so I'm actually not using the total employees for my shape map, rather I'm also using the KPI I have up here. So now I simply can first grab my location. I'll grab the state. Where's the state? I'll grab the state on the location. That's one. So it's actually the US. Next, I'm going to grab this KPI and drop it on the color saturation. So I have something like this. So if you switch the KPI to total employees, it's going to affect this map also. If you switch it to active employees, it's going to affect the map. If you switch it to turnover rate, it's going to affect the map also. So annual workforce costs is going to affect the map also. So total employees. So let's just format the map to get that color. This is expanding. So format, so general effects, we'll put off the background. Then visual, fill color, maximum. This is going to be maximum color now. I think I'm using this color. Yeah, so basically this is what I did. Then the minimum color, you can actually say this color, but this is not what I did. I'll just come to more, then take it forward a bit so it looks something like this. Okay, then we're treating the blank areas, right? The blank areas, what I did was color its our background color. No, this is not our background color, please. So this is the background color. So you now have the blank areas like that. So for the borders also, right, you can actually just use something else like this. So this is close to what I have on this end, right, on this end of the report. Yeah, so I think for the borders, right, I'm actually using our background color. So for the border, I'm using this color. So that's why, yeah. So this is the color I'm using for the border. Now, um, remember, we also have a dynamic title, right? We have a dynamic title. So let me grab that title. That title is KPI title 2. So it's just showing by state also, right? Turnover it by state. So I'll just grab this and come back here, right click and say new measure. So I'll paste this now, and remember this is no longer parameter, it's KPI. That's the KPI order. Delete this. So it's the same thing, employee headcount by state, turnover. So this is no longer inactive, rather is active. So remember it's active employee. So I'll just check this out. So I'll select this now, select the map, come to format, general, title, click on the conditional formatting and change this to be based on field value, and it should be based on the KPI title 2 and click on OK. Then we can change this to UI, CGUI, centralize, change the color to what we've been using already. Oh, sorry, no background color, not the background color, but I think it's cool also. So not the background color actually. It's supposed to be okay. This is the text. What did I do? Okay, so I applied the conditional formatting to the text, please. So I cancel this. This is I'll just reset to default, right? So this is the title. Please click on the conditional formatting in front of the title. Change this to KPI title 2 and click on OK. So you have it here. Change the style to CJUI, centralize this. The text color should now be this. So yes, this is what I wanted to do. And I did something else entirely. So if you are looking at employees head count by state, this is yearly employees head count trend. So everything works together perfectly fine. I'll simply just save this. So we're done with page 1, right? We're done with page 1. We'll have just few things to cover in page 1 also. I think that has to do with tooltips, because if you hover here, you're going to get the total employees and the percentage of male and female employees. And I think if you hover here also, you're going to get the employees by their educational level for each of the year. That's basically it. So we have two tooltips here. Two tooltips. It's pretty quite easy to do this. So let's just navigate back to the report. All you need to do is create a new page and say this page also format canvas setting. Now this is going to be a tooltip, so you have it's going to be a tooltip. Now Canva background, click on the color and use the color code, background color code, which is this. Reduce the transparency to 0. So this is our background color code. So first, I'm just going to come to the demographics here, and I'm going to copy this, what is it called? This visual we created here. I'm just going to copy this because this is invariably what we'll have as a tooltip. So I'm going to paste it here and reduce the size. Okay, bring this here. I'm going to reduce the size drastically. So basically what I'm going to do, this is no longer looking at employment type, rather it's just looking at the employees and the gender. So I'll add the gender here. Right, this is the gender. So I'm going to come to format. I'm going to say general output of the title. So this is it. So let's give it that same color we use for gender. So from female, I think we use this color. Then for male, I think we use this color. Yes, right? So also we need to put on the label in this case. Then the label should be just um, category and percent total, right? So for the values, we can now apply the color so we see the values clearly. So this is it. We can actually reduce the size of the what is it called? The size of the tooltip, right? Make it smaller. So now come to canvas settings. This is 240/320. So I'll change this from tooltip to custom. Now I can start adjusting and cutting off unnecessary spaces, right? I'll take this up. So you can reduce the size if you want. I'll reduce the size of this color value to maybe 12. Scroll down, reduce the size of the label. It's already 8, so it's fine. Probably increase this a bit. So you basically just need to make some adjustments here. That's the lowest we can actually go. Okay, that's fine. So we still need to reduce the size of our tooltip. I'll just reduce this until I get what I want, right? I'll keep reducing until I get what I want. So I think we should expand this a bit, right? To make sure this fits in properly. So I'll still go back. I'll go back eventually to the settings. I'll keep reducing the width a bit. I want it small to fit right where we want it to be. I think this is what I want. So this is what I want. Just make the adjustments, then come back to canvas setting now, and I'll start making the adjustment the way I want it. Okay, I'll keep adjusting until I get. Then I think I need to reduce it a bit also. Reduce, not increase. I'll just reduce. So I'll eventually settle for 85 and 215. So this is it. I'll settle for this. So once I settle for this, this will be tooltip. Tooltip. For the tooltip, of course, I don't want it to show, right? So I'll just hide it. I'll come to demographics now. I'll select this map, then come to general, tooltip, report page, and say tooltip. Right, so now if you hover, you now get, so you can see what's happening now. You get the total employees, the male percent and the female percent, but we need to do a sort of formatting to the percent, right? So format, data label, values, display units, the percent should be 0, so you can actually get the full percentage. So now if I come back here and hover on this area of the map, you see the total employees, male and female distribution. Same thing here, total employees, male and female. Same thing here, total employees, male and female. So having that in mind, you can go ahead and create the tooltip for the other one. So basically, all you need to do is create a new page. Like I said, change the canvas settings to tooltip. Now, the background color, right? Use the background color we're using already, which is this 262F40. Reduce the transparency to 0. So this is our background color. So basically, for that tooltip, all you need to do is just create a clustered column chart, right? Clustered column chart. Basically just drop your total employees, right? And drop your educational level. So this is it. Okay, total employees and educational level. So format, x-axis, y-axis, increase this a bit. So yeah, this is it. Now, I think we added the gender to this, right? Added gender to this also. So on the legend, we have the gender on the legend. I think so. So we need to clean this up, put up the title. Then what else? Y-axis, put up the title. Then x-axis, put up the title, put up the values. Okay. Then finally just put on the data label. Then I think the data label now come to total employees and just show values of percent of grand total. Then effects, general effects, put up the background, right? So you can actually format these colors. Please format the colors to the male and female. So it's quite easy. Just come to visual, bars, female, we use the same color we've been using before. Male, we use the same color we've been using before, right? Then come to legend, text, change this to this color. Then on our y-axis, right, change the text color also. Then on our data label, remember to change the text color also. So now that you have this tooltip, you can then come to, this will be tooltip 2 or tooltip 2. I'll also just right click and hide it, then come to demographics. I can select this visual now and come to format, general, I'll say tooltip, report page, tooltip 2. So when you hover on this, you now get the male and female distribution for that year. When you hover on this, you get the male and female distribution, right? Male, female, by the different educational level. Okay, so with this, we've actually completed the page 1 of the report. Everything about page 1 of the report, it's completed. Okay, so everything I have on page 1 of the report, I think we have that figured out already. Okay, we have everything figured out already and everything covered. So now that we've completed page 1 of the report, let's quickly take a look at page 2 of the report. So we'll just work on that immediately. So page 2 is actually the performance. So this is what I have on page 2, similar to what we had on page 1, but we're looking at the employee rating, the satisfaction category, the evaluation category, then we have the KPI cards up here, right? So I don't think we need to go over all these again because we've done them before, but I'll just walk you through how you eventually get to calculate all this, right? So to begin, let's quickly take a look at our data again. Let's go to our report. So this is our report. For page 2, I'm just going to right click on this and make a duplicate, right? Then, yep, then I'm going to delete everything I have done here. Possibly I can actually leave it though, but I'll just delete everything I have done here. Okay, I'll leave this in particular. There's a reason I'm leaving that there. I'll just leave that there for now. Then we need to change the KPIs, right? The KPIs, we need to change them. So I'll just delete all this. Okay, so I'll leave the total employees. Now, if you come to the data, right, we already have our demographics. We're done with that. Then we're looking at the monthly performance, right? The monthly performance. So for the monthly performance, this is what we're going to be working with. On the table, you're going to find the performance rating, right? Training hours, overtime hours, absenteeism days, promotion flag, salary flag. The flag is actually if the employee has been promoted or not, a false, true or false. Monthly bonus, benefit costs, employee satisfaction, engagement index, manager evaluation, right? All these are the KPIs we want to track. So let's go to the report here. So what I'm looking at is average productivity score, right? Then I'm looking at the average performance rating, satisfaction score, and all that. So look at the table I have here in terms of performance. So there's something I did here that we're just going to go through quickly now. So when we talk about productivity, right? So I came up with what am I going to call it now? It's not really a model per se, but yeah, it's a kind of a model, right? I wanted to know, give a score. I wanted to create a score for the productivity of the employee. I'm putting some parameters in place, right, that will determine how productive the employee is, right? So one of the parameters I'm looking at is the rating of the employee. That's the performance rating, right? Remember, we have a column here already that talks about the employee performance rating. Then I'm also looking at the overtime. Does this employee give us overtime, right? Then we're looking at the absent rate. We're looking at the satisfaction, the engagement, and the managerial evaluation. All these together, we're putting them together. We assigned a weight to each and every one of them. Then we try to determine the productivity of that employee. So that's what I basically have here. This is just the DAX measure. You can look at it carefully. You see everything I have here. Then this is just the part where we assign the weight, right? Now, 25% is actually going to the performance of the employee, right? 10% is actually going to if the employee gives us overtime, right? Then absenteeism is working in reverse. That's why I have the negative number there, -1. That's 1 minus you divide, right? But it's taking 15%. So if the employee is not absent, right, has never been absent, that's the employee is going to get 15% automatically because that employee is productive, which means he or she comes to work. Then we'll have the satisfaction is taking 15% also. Then engagement is taking 15%. Then finally, manager evaluation. The evaluation you receive from your manager, it tells how productive or non-productive you are. So it's very important in this case. So once we're done with that, we get the productivity score, right? We definitely get the productivity score. So I'm just going to copy this and create a new column. So this will be the productivity score, right? We're coming back here shortly. So on this copy, I'm simply going to say, I want to add a new column, right? I want to add a new column. And I'll simply just paste the code I copied, right? So this is the code I copied. Like I said, you can look at it carefully. What we're trying to do here, we assign weight to each of the parameters and we're putting everything together to say we want to calculate the productivity of the employee. So once I'm done, I get the calculation for the employee productivity, yeah, over 100, right? So this employee is actually, the score is actually 77 over 100. Now look at the manager evaluation for this particular employee. You can see over 5, it's actually over 5, right? It's actually 4. So it simply means the manager evaluated this employee with productivity score 77, very high. Then engagement index over 10, you can see his score. Satisfaction over 10, you can see its score there. So that's to tell you the productivity. The model is actually working great in the recent. So after that, let's come back here. So I have the productivity score, right? Then I go ahead to we can then take an average of the productivity score, right? We can take an average of the productivity score. But before we even go back there, using that productivity score, right, we can now tell if the employee in terms of productivity, if the employee is excellent, if it's good, if the employee needs improvement, or in terms of productivity, the employee is poor, right? This will guide you on what to do next for the particular employee. So I'm just going to copy the performance category, right? Then I'm going to take it back here. Now we have the productivity score already calculated. So we're just creating another column to group this, more like a bucket to group this productivity score, right? So if I say I want to create a new column now, I'll simply just paste what I copied. So it's more like the performance overall productivity category. The productivity score, if it's greater than 85%, excellent. The employee is excellent, is good, needs improvement, and is poor. So what that means is you need to calculate your productivity first before you go ahead to calculate the performance category, right? So I'll take you back to my own report. We also need to do the same thing for career growth, right? So career growth, we're using same method, right? But in this case, we're using three major things, right? The training hours, the promotion flag, and the salary increase flag, right? If the employee, right, you're spending time training hours, it definitely means you're trying to improve yourself, right? Then if you've been promoted, it also goes a lot to tell about your performance and your growth, like you're an upward projection because you receive promotion, you receive salary increase. So we're putting all these factors together to determine the career growth score, right? The career projection of the employee also. So we're using the same model principle. So training hours is taking 50%, a promotion flag is taking 30, while salary increase is taking 20. So I'll just copy this also. Navigate back to my report. Say I want to create a new column again. Then I'll simply just paste that here. Then I would check it out. So now that I have the career growth score, then we can go ahead and create a category, right? We can also go ahead and create a category like we did for the productivity. So I'll come back here. I think I have it here. That's the career growth category. So we're trying to say if your score is greater than 30%, right? Excellent career growth, you're in upward projection, you're going upward, then of course good career growth, fair. Then of course if it's less than 10, it definitely means we have a poor career growth for that employee. So I'll come back here and add that category also. I'll just add that category here and we're good. So that's for the productivity and the career growth, right? Then I have a couple of other categories I have here also, right? So now if you look at the table, you find out that we also have, what do we have? We have the satisfaction, employee satisfaction, the manager evaluation, right? We also had the rating employee received, right? That's the rating. So let's go back here. You see the rating. This is the performance rating, right? Performance rating. So the performance rating is definitely between 2 to 5, right? So what I did was to create a bucket for that also. So that's where I have the rating category, right? This is the rating category. So what I'm trying to say is if the performance rating, right, is less than 2 or equal to 2 is poor, 3, 2, 3 is average, 3, 4 is good, and all that. So that's the performance rating category, right? So I'll just copy the rating category because we're going to need it also. So since we have the performance rating here, we're just creating a bucket for it, right? Instead of showing the numbers, we're now creating a category. So I'll just paste this here. That's the rating category, rating category. So now that I have the rating category, I want to be able to sort the rating from poor to excellent, right? That's why I have this other column here called the rating sort, right? The rating sort. Now that I have the rating from I want to be able to have the rating from poor to good or poor to excellent or excellent to poor. I want to be able to sort it that way. So that's basically why I have that. So I'll have this new column and I'll simply just paste the rating sort, right? I think I still have some other categories because if you look at it, the logic behind creating these categories is if you look at, let's look at the manager evaluation, right? We have between 2.1 to 5, right? That is between 0 to 5. So you can show these values instead. So you can actually go ahead and create a category to say if it's less than 2, it's 4. If it's between 2 and 3, that's it. In terms of the manager evaluation, right? you can go ahead. It's more like rating: 5 star, 2 star, 3 stars, and all that. Excellent, good, very good, poor, like that. You come up with a bucket. So let's quickly look at it. I have a lot of them, so you can see the evaluation category. Then also have the satisfaction category, right? Because for the employees, you have the satisfaction score already. The satisfaction score is typically between 0 to 10. So we're trying to create a bucket. Like I said, you can't display the score, so you just create a bucket. So that's why I have the satisfaction category here. So I'm just going to make a copy of the satisfaction category. And for everyone I make a copy of, right, I try to add a sort column to it because I want to be able to sort it from satisfied to from dissatisfied to very satisfied, right? I want to be able to sort it also. So I'll just commit this. I'll go back to my data. This is where I have the satisfaction sort. It's the same code, but I want to be able to sort the employee satisfaction, right? So I come back to the copy and say I want to create a new column again, and I create the satisfaction sort. We're going to walk through all this, right? Now let's come back here. After the satisfaction, I think I still have the evaluation category. Remember, the manager evaluated the employee, right, from being poor to average to good to excellent. So instead of showing the numbers, like I said, I still want to categorize the evaluation. That's the manager evaluation. So I'm going to create on this report now. I'm going to create a new column again, and I'm simply going to paste this also, the evaluation category. I also have a sort column for this, right, to be able to sort it from poor to excellent also. So that's where I have the evaluation sort, right? I'll just copy this also. Then I come back here and just add the sort to it, right? That's the evaluation sort also. Then finally, remember that we have the career growth already, right? The score, and we have the category. So we also want to be able to sort the career growth also. So I'm just going to copy the career growth sort here, and I'll paste it. We're going to work with this shortly. I think the only one we're missing is the that's the overall performance category. I think, do we have a sort for that already? I don't think we have a sort for the performance yet. So let's see if I have a sort for that. Productivity. Okay, overall performance. I don't think I created a sort for that, did I? If I didn't, we can actually do it much more later, or we don't have a need for it. So let's just go to the report. So for the rating, that's employee by rating category, employee by satisfaction category, and by evaluation category. So this is where those columns we've been creating, that's where they come into play. By rating category. So basically what we want to do is bring in a donut chart, right? I'll just remove this. I'll go to page 1 and just take a copy of this visual, right, and bring it to the page 2, paste it here, right? So I have the employment type. I'll remove it and replace it with so let's go to the monthly performance, and we replace this with what? That's the rating category. That's the rating category, right? So you now get employees by the rating category. If I make a copy of this, please, this is not employment type, change the title, right? So this will be rating category, right? Just by rating actually. So rating category. So this will no longer be employment type. So because let's confirm. So we have rating category, we have employee satisfaction, then we have evaluation category. So this is employee satisfaction. So instead of having rating category now, we are going to have what? Satisfaction. So we also have satisfaction category, right? That's satisfaction category. So this is it. Then the final copy, we'll make it one more copy. Then this is no longer going to be satisfaction, rather it's going to be evaluation category. That is managerial evaluation, that's evaluation category. So that's basically it, right? So we've gone through all this before. I've showed you how to create this, map it to the colors, and you have the table down here. So I'm not going to go through all that anymore. But let's just work on the KPI cards up here. They are very simple. I'll just do like 2. So what we have there is we now have, after the employees, we now have the average productivity score and the performance rating. So basically what I did was just come to your measures here, right click and say you want to create a new measure. So this would be like the average productivity score, right? Average productivity score. This would be like an average, right? Then we're looking at the productivity score. Yeah, so this is the productivity score. So basically what I did was just to bring in a card visual. This same card visual we've been using, right? I'll just make a copy of this, bring it here. Then I replace this total employees with average productivity score that I just calculated, right? Of course, we need to format this, right? So come to format, colored value. This should be, I think this should be 30 or 25. I can't remember, but we'll check it out. I think it should be 30 actually. Let me just check. So this is 45 actually. So this is 45. Let me check. It's not 45. It's actually 25. So it's 25. Then UI. Okay, yeah. So this is 25. So change it to productivity. This is 25. Then this is CJ UI. Then we'll come down here, change the color also, right? Then we'll come down to the label. I think this label is 14. Then this is below. Then there's no space also, right? Then we'll come here and say everything should be at the center. So this is average productivity score, right? So we need to change the color also for the label. So yeah, so we have the average productivity score. But what I did was simple, right? Just came to insert and said I want to insert a line, right? A line. I just brought a line, then come to rotation. So I'm going to rotate it the other way around, please. Okay, so what's the rotation I'm going to use? Let me just use 270, not to waste so much time. Okay, so yep, so from 270 I can just take it back a bit to like 290. Then I reduce the size. I can change the color, right? Put this off, come to border, change the color to this or this. Then I just bring it here, right? So basically, instead of just having just the number there and you can't actually make sense of what the number is, right? I'm just saying 73.92, right? So I'll just add the text to say over what? Over 100, right? Over 100. So I'll make this 14, change the color to this, come to effects, put off the background and just reduce the size. Then I drop this here over 100, right? So you can go ahead now and create for every other one, right? So basically what's the other ones we have there? We have the performance rating. You already have the performance rating. Performance rating is over 5. The satisfaction score is over 10, while the evaluation is over 5 also. Then the engagement index is over 10. So we're just seeing the average score, then you're seeing what it's over, right? So that's basically it for everything we have around here. You just go ahead. For the performance rating, you already know what to do, right? So when you come here, you come to your table, you already have the performance rating. You have the performance rating here. This is the performance rating, right? So basically, you're just saying average performance rating, then you do over 5 and all that. So what do we have done here, right? So if you come to page 2 right here, you see that what we actually have done here, we retained what we have up here, but then we created, I think we created was so this is the total employees, right? Then age group, then employee productivity by education level. So we're looking at the productivity, right? The productivity, that's basically what we're looking at here. Is it excellent, good, needs improvement, or poor? That's the reason why I actually didn't delete. So let me come back here. That's the reason I didn't delete this actually, right? So now instead of talking about the male and female gender, basically what we did was just remove the gender and replace it with monthly performance. We're looking at the overall performance category. So I bring it on the legend. So I'm looking at the employee overall performance category. Those that are excellent, good, needs improvement. So the parameter we created here still works perfectly fine according to the educational level, age group, and all that. So we just need to format this very quickly, right? And also, I think I'm not using percent, right? So I want to see the number of employees. So I show no calculation. So I'm seeing the numbers to be precise. So now we can come to format, right? Legend, we can say the legend should be at the top left. We can put up the title, right? So you can see this is coming to life gradually. It's looking like what we had on the other side also. Of course, we still need to do some formatting here. Come to data label, values, decimal places is 0. That's 1. Then you can come to columns, layouts, and start making some adjustments here, right? I'm making some adjustments here. Make some adjustments here. I think I'll go with 14, right? I'll go with 14. Then spaces in between, I think I'm fine. Then you go ahead to change the colors, right? You go ahead to change the colors and all that. So our parameter is still in place, but we're looking at employee productivity, right? The productivity is what we're looking at, overall productivity, right? Then you notice that our title is still showing employee distribution by department and gender. We need to change that also. But to do that, it's going to be pretty easy now, right? So what I'm going to do is we're definitely going to look for this title, which is this is the title we're using right now: employee headcount by state, active employee by no, this is not the title we're using. Let's see, I think it's this. I'm not sure. We have how many titles here? So let me just trace it. Title. We're using demographics title actually. So let's look for them. Yeah, this is the title we're using, demographics title. So I'm just going to copy this demographics title. I'll make a copy of it. Right click and say new measure. I'll just paste this. So I'll just say this is demographics title 2, right? But what I'm looking at now is employee productivity or performance by age group, right? So I'm no longer looking at it by, what is it called? I'm not looking at it by I'm not looking at distribution. So this is performance, right? So this is performance by age group, not and gender, because I'm not looking at gender in this case. So I'll just say by age group. This is also performance by department. So I'll remove the and gender. So performance by department, right? Just make a copy of this, replace it with what I have here. Replace it with what I have here. Then gender is going out of it, because we're not considering gender in this case. Here also gender is going out of it. Right here, gender is going out of it. So once I'm done with this, right, I then need to change the title here. So I just come to the conditional formatting, remove this demographics title to change demographics title 2 and click on OK. So now you can now see employee performance by department, because we're actually looking at department. We'll come to educational level, you see employee performance by educational level, right? So that's for the performance here. Now lastly, I think I have just 2 visuals here: the employee projection by career growth and the total monthly bonus by job level. So these are pretty easy, right? Just bring in a bar chart here and just select your total employees, right? Total employees. Then we can navigate to career growth. We already have the career growth already category. So this is it, employee by the career growth category. But if you look at it, the career growth is not actually well sorted. Look at it now, it's not actually well sorted. So that's why we need to come to the table view, monthly performance. So we're going to do a couple of things. For everyone, we had the sort column, right? This is the rating category. Rating category. So we need to sort it by the rating sort if necessary. So we'll come sort column by rating sort. This is the satisfaction category. So we sort the column by satisfaction sort. Let me just save this for now. So we sort this satisfaction category by satisfaction sort, right? Then evaluation category also, we sort it by evaluation sort. You're going to need it when you are creating the table. So evaluation sort, that's why you have them here. Then finally, the career growth. This is the career growth category. So we can now sort it by, what is it called now? Career growth sort. Once we're done, I'll just hit save here. Then I'll come to the report view. So now you can see now that when we come to file and we come to sort by career growth category, we can now sort it from either we have the poor, we have fair, we have good, and we have excellent. Right? You can sort it in any way you want now. You can sort it in ascending. So you can have from excellent, poor, fair, from poor to fair to good to excellent, whichever way you want to sort it is up to you. And of course, you go ahead and format by turning off the background and doing a whole lot of that, changing the colors and all that. Down here, I think what we have was just what? That's the monthly bonus by job level. So you already know that, right? It's just to make a copy of this and replace no longer total employees, not career, the monthly bonus, right? I think we have the monthly bonus. So this is the monthly bonus. It can just be on your X as easy as a sum by the job level, right? We also have the job level. So on the demographic side of it, that's the employees. We look at the job level. So this is it, the monthly bonus by the different job level. Remember, you need to format the y-axis and the x-axis, right? So basically, I can select this. Let me see if it works. Format painter, come down here and just drop it on this. So this is basically it. Format painter and drop it on this. Okay. So remember, the reason we have those sort column is when you want to create these tables for, remember we have tables here, we have tables here, we have tables here, also down here. That's why we have the sort for each of them, right? So that's basically page 2. Page 2, I want you to actually put in the work. There's no point going over to create things we've created before. So here, of course, you have to create your page navigator, right? So this is performance page. So this is performance, right? So I'll just bring this here. So remember, what you need now is just your page navigator, right? Just insert buttons, navigator, page navigator. Then you can go ahead and format your page navigator. So I'll just come to grid layout. This should be vertical, right? So you have your page navigator here. You can format your page navigator whichever way you want. Then down here, I think I have some slicers, right? So down here, I have some slicers. You can see select status, select gender, select state. That's for the performance. So you can create these slicers. They are very easy. You know how to do that already using slicers. Then for demographics also, I think I have some slicers there. Yeah, status here and states, just like that. So with this, we're actually done with the reports. I want to believe the video was helpful. If it was helpful, you can don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you've not. If there's anything you want me to touch, to cover, always remember to leave it on the comments. If you've learned something new, for me, yeah, I learned something new while working on this data. So if you've learned something new, don't forget to leave a like for the video. Remember, you're creating the tables for these tables just the way we have them here. You're creating them for the page, that's for the performance page while we're here. You're creating them here. Like I said, we've already done that already, so you can actually use the same what is it called, the same concept to actually work on these very ones. So with this, we're done. Thank you very much. Thank you for all your support. Till we see you again. Bye for now. Oh, before I go, remember, for the resources, everything, some of the DAX measures we're using here, you're going to find them on the resources on the link to the OneDrive attached to the video description. All right, bye for now.